how do you see AI impacting podcasting? Excited, worried about it?
It's an interesting one, this. It's a good question.
Radu Dan is the owner of the Jersey Podcast Studio, helping people and businesses grow their podcasts through publishing, editing, and recording.
If you say something, then deliver on your promise. Arguably, Trump winning elections with podcasts, I think is also a bit of a hype now. Everybody's diary of a CEO.
And what is it that you enjoy about podcasting?
I think when it comes to podcasting, it's mainly
So, Radu, is that how you say your name?
Radu, yeah, that's correct.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Harvey.
So, for anyone that has clicked on this video, could you explain who you are and what your business is?
Yeah, so my name is Radu Dan. I'm the founder of Jersey Podcast. Jersey Podcast is a place where business leaders can come and share their expertise, and we take care of everything else, podcast related from A to Z, from recording, even like strategy to begin with, because most of the people we've got and our clients, this is their first podcast. Right. There are not that many in Jersey. I mean, you are one of them. You don't need my expertise anymore. But most of them, they start from scratch. Mm-hmm. So they need even like, how are we gonna address the questions and all that? English is my second language, but I have some ideas on how to do it. So I've got all these advice that I built up myself over the years from other creators. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to put this together as a service, and then from when we got the strategy, we do the recording, we do the editing, we do repurposing clips from the big recording. Right. If platforms are already created, which in most cases are not, because we're talking about new product, a new podcast, we create the platforms, the distribution platforms, and we also offer behind the scenes photos and everything that it comes with it, even like the distribution part, we can do it ourselves for the clients. We connect their social media platforms and everything else.
And do you always have people in the studio when you're recording them? I'm guessing if you're doing behind the scenes photos and stuff like that.
What do you mean if we do online as well?
So if two people came into your studio and recorded, do you always have
we always have someone. Yeah, we always have someone, because I think it's really important monitoring, everything. Yeah. When I do it for myself, I sometimes take the chance and it's just by myself with a guest and I'm monitoring the audio and that's it. But when you do it for a client, you want to make sure, and I want in general, but it's all about resources. And I want to make sure that, they get the best quality out of it. And, there's no surprises. The camera turned off or something. There's always a backup in place, whether audio or video. So we have someone there, sometimes two of us there. Someone is taking photos because it's two of us in this business. So, that's how it kind of works in a few words, but I'm sure we'll get deeper along the way.
So I've got another question. If your family or friends could describe you in 3 words, what would they be, do you think?
I think like 99% of people say that I'm happy. And for whatever reason, I feel like this is a strength as well, because in order to do a lot of work, and we're dealing I deal with my personal, like in your situation as well, you do your full-time job, you trying to build your personal brand, and I've got the cooking channel as well, which keeps going, and it's getting soon to 17,000 subscribers, so it's heading in the right direction, and I think happy keeps you almost like, I wouldn't say motivated, but you've got to enjoy the process, and I think that's kind of what happiness, brought into my life. And then the second thing would be trustworthy. And I try to put this into all the work I do, because trust, especially in Jersey, you think about it, like small place, you do something wrong, well, you know how it is, you do something good, it'll be difficult to get discovered. You do something wrong, everybody knows about it. So, and it's not just the fear of that. I think it's the right thing to do. If you say something, then deliver on your promise. And if you can't, at least, I wouldn't say justify, is give alternatives. So, and then the third one would be driven, because since we're doing island driven, I think it's, in everything I do, I try to do my best. And, my best sometimes might not be enough. But, if you are happy, if you go at night and before going to bed, this is as much as I can do, then it goes back to happiness. I'm happy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And based on the niche you're in, podcasting, what was your earliest memory of yourself being creative or entrepreneurial, do you think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I like a joke. I like saying, that I was born in Romania but made in Jersey, right? Because I came here when I was 20 or 19, so not much life experience, and everything that I can say I learned in terms of like entrepreneurship, which, by the way, it wasn't at that time. That time was building a career as an employee. And this comes from the way I was brought up, like Romania I'm going to go a bit long-winded here, but just to give you a bit of context, Romania was under communism before 1989. So my parents grew up in that era. So I was brought up, although I'm from 91, I was brought up with these beliefs that, you got to be an employee, and that's your purpose in life. So it's not coming from my family, I would say. That's why I say I'm made in Jersey, because I discovered this here, and I discovered it fairly recently after starting the video journey. Right. And starting the video journey with the cooking. Because I got the cooking channel, that's the first thing, like 6 years ago when everything started. And I learned everything myself. I'm self-taught, certain things I do, they might be wrong, but that's how I pick them up. Yeah. And I try to improve along the way. So that's how we kind of started in a way. Entrepreneurship, it's fairly new for me. I would say that only for the past 2 years I'm taking it a bit more seriously, and this might move into a full-time job eventually, but it's not something that I was born with.
Yeah, okay. Do you think being born in Romania and thinking you have to be an employee, do you think that's helped you become who you are today, or do you think it would be better if you had that mindset before?
I think, if you, it all comes to self-awareness, and I think I got that. I got self-awareness, and it kind of helped me thinking, well, it can be done. There are other people doing it. I think it's that going just a step further than the beliefs you grew up with. Yeah. It's nothing wrong being an employee, by the way. It's absolutely. I'm still an employee these days, and if you work for a good company and if you're happy there are people that don't want to go any further. Yeah. And entrepreneurship is all about risks. And people don't want to take risks. If you don't want to take risks, then maybe you're in the right place than being an employee. So going back to what you were saying, if Romania, what was it again?
When you were born in Romania and you had the mindset of being an employee, do you think that's helped you become who you are today?
Almost the opposite way. Yeah. I would say so, yeah, because you see the both sides. And you also understand that what my parents were taught, it was wrong, but it was, the right thing at the time, I guess. It was surviving. In communism, there's no entrepreneurship. It's like we all work together, we all get in this happy place, and it failed, obviously. And it's good that it failed, because in the end, I think Romania is on a much better trajectory. And I've got friends that they thrive these days, with their businesses in Romania. So I'm very happy for them. So it can be done, even if you were born with one of those communist mentalities.
Yeah. And what is it that you enjoy about podcasting?
I think when it comes to podcasting, it's mainly the connections with people that you form. Like, look, we talked for a while doing this podcast, and now we met, and I feel like, you already get to know me. I'm probably going to get, well, not probably, I want to get you on my podcast. Yeah. And, we're going to have, let's say, 2 hours of conversations. It's deep. It's deep. And, you form these relationships, at different levels. Yeah. And you build trust with what you share with your audience as well. You build your brand. So I think that's what I enjoy the most about it. And look, it's another thing is, from a different angle, especially when we're talking about not necessarily the podcast services, but even that, because in Jersey is a friendly competition. If, let's say, you got a podcast and it's similar subject with what I do, it's actually a win-win. If if I invite you on mine and you invite you on yours, you don't really see this much going on with businesses. No. With podcasts, it's such friendly friendly game, where, you see at the bigger level. Alex Hormozi gets invited by Gary Vee, and Gary Vee gets invited by Diary of a CEO, and so on.
Yeah.
So they all play the same game because they know if they play together, they win.
Yeah.
So I like that about it, because you don't have that in many cases.
And moving on to your business, what inspired you to create the studio and why podcasting in general?
So with the studio, it was almost like a natural progression. When I started with the cooking channel, I thought, because working in hospitality, just to give a bit of a background, I worked in hospitality before. I mentioned it before starting the podcast. So for like 7 years, I met a lot of people in hospitality. So naturally, when I thought about starting a podcast, I was like, well, it's got to be something that I kind of understand. So it was hospitality. So I've done like 45 episodes of hospitality. But along the way, I had people asking me, around the 30th episode, it's like, well, we want to start our own podcast. Can you help us? What are the steps? Can you help us with the gear and all that? And then it's then when it kind of sparked an idea of like, let's turn this into a service.
Yeah.
It's in the end, with what I do, it's democratizing, as cliche as it sounds, is democratizing the space of social media. And you don't, these days you don't need to go to a TV station to send your message. You've got a phone, you've got your message, it's on the social media instantly. So I like that about it, and you can do this in 1 hour conversation better than almost in any other way.
And what is the Jersey Podcast Studio's mission, do you think? Is it just what you said now, just to help people?
It is, yeah. It's helping people. Yeah, it's giving them that platform where they can have a voice. All they have to do is bring their expertise. So if, let's say, you are an expert in trust, for example, you know your subject. Well, we'll have a strategy meeting, of course, before that to know about what we're going to talk and how can you bring the most value. Although it's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
We can talk about, what people want from you, and, come in a way that you deliver the message for them. Not, we are the best, in trust and all that. All you talk about is 1 hour about that. It's not going to catch anyone. So if you can, the mission is basically to get these people that have their expertise and amplify it with podcast.
Okay.
With 1 hour conversation, for example, in most cases, I'm saying most cases because there's almost like a big disclaimer there. It all depends how interesting your subject is.
Yeah.
You can get, let's say, 15 clips. You can get, I don't know how many blogs, depending on how the conversation goes.
Yeah.
You can get behind the scenes photos. The behind the scenes photos, you can add quotes together with them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a month of content. It's no brainer, it just works.
Yeah. Another question, what was the biggest challenge when setting up the studio, do you think?
I think the biggest challenge was it was becoming serious. And then I'm like, what if I invest all this money? Okay, part of the gear I had it because I was already doing the cooking videos, I was already doing my podcast, so part of it was already there. But I'm like, in order to do it, it's gonna need another investment. And it's the unknown of, will this work? Am I gonna get into debt, by investing into this? So that's the part that I thought, I got to get comfortable to be uncomfortable if I wanted to make it a success. Yeah. And that was, and it still is, being an entrepreneur is not like, you're in a safe place every month, you have your income sorted. You got to work for it.
Yeah.
So that was the part, and it still is, because I'm not turned this into a full-time job. I'm still kind of debating it, which is kind of stupid because it's heading that way anyway. It will eventually, I think, turn into a full-time job.
And it was a year and 3 months, you said?
About a year and 3 months when we started the studio. Yeah. But in terms of like doing podcasts, I had a track record till that point. But yeah, the studio has been there for like a year and about 3 months. We changed quite a few things in there. We've got 2 different backgrounds now. Oh, wow. So we made a bit of an investment. We tried to, as much as possible from a small, because it's kind of a small place. It might look big on camera, but it's actually tiny when you get there. Okay. So you've got one side, it's one background, and we just turn the opposite side into a podcast background, right, which is a bit more versatile, and it gives hopefully more options for bigger brands. They don't want to be, and which they want to be recognized for having their own, almost like their own bespoke background.
Okay, makes sense. Another question, what is the process of customers using the podcast studio? Do they pay like a membership a month, or is it per episode, or how?
It's per episode, and we try to so it's like a pack. So the way we do it, and I don't know if this is the best way, and we keep refining this, to make it more convenient for people, but also make it work around results. Because if, let's say, we get people sometimes, well, we want to do one episode. I'm like, let's not call it a podcast then. It's just not point. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to create all these platforms, drop one in there, get a few clips, and then people that like it, it's like, well, we want more, but you don't produce more. Let's just create one and, I don't know, call it something else. I don't know, post it on your website. Just not call it a podcast. I think it's a good strategy. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is get people into at least 5 episodes. And then we give them a time frame, let's say 5 episodes in 6 months. Ideally, 1 a month would be great, because then it gives you enough content from like the clips I was talking about, the blogs and everything else. So you never have scarcity of content. So ideally once a month. It all depends what people can afford, and time as well. And we should time, by the way, if we're gonna get to it, it's almost like it's a misunderstanding of how these things work. Because if all you have to do is record 1 hour, and okay, you got to prepare for it. It's true. It's more than one hour if you think about it. Yeah. But if, let's say, you do 1 hour and you manage to do another hour on that day, 2 months, you don't have to worry about content. Like, we'll take care of the editing and everything else. So time is not really an excuse. Whenever people come, well, time, you can do it.
Yeah. And what are you and your business doing to keep up with a competitive market like podcasting, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to my own podcast, which the Brands and Leaders, which we started not that long ago, because we wanted, as I was saying, we had people from outside of hospitality asking of how they started podcasts, but we also had people saying, well, I want to be on your podcast. Right. I'm like, well, but it's not hospitality related, so let's start another one. Yeah. It's not like I don't have enough things going on. So we paused the hospitality one for a bit. We started the Brands and Leaders with 3rd episode in. And I don't think, in terms of like podcast, we talk about competition. In my opinion, there is no competition. It's just relationships and working together to grow. When it comes to the studio itself, there are not many people doing it here in Jersey. There are like 2 other places. Okay. There are other people that could do it on location. If you are, let's say, a video guy, you bring your cameras into a location, like similar to what you've done here, and film it that way. But for people that want to have a studio, there are like another 2 or 3 places, if I'm not wrong. And I'm not worried about competition, to be completely honest, because I'm in a competition with myself. Yeah. If I do it right, and if I have happy clients, I'm untouchable almost, there's no competition. So it's about like making sure the clients are happy, deliver them the results they want. We all can survive.
And so moving on to podcasting in general, why Jersey? Why podcasting in Jersey? What?
Yeah, so in Jersey is a fairly new concept, and I thought, as soon as I saw this picking, well, I was kind of late in the game if you consider it with the US, because I should have probably started 10 years ago at least. Yeah. But when you saw the US, growing up businesses with podcasts, arguably Trump winning elections with podcasts, and everything else that comes from podcasts and the influence podcasts have, I thought, why not bring in this to Jersey? Since I'm living in Jersey, I'm not probably going to do it in Romania, since it doesn't make any sense, because I'm here, and here is where I want to form these relationships. And that's how we kind of started. I think it's a great medium of sharing your expertise. Mm-hmm. And that's why I saw almost like a gap in the market, because there are not that many people doing it studio-wise. Yeah. So I'm like, let's offer these, because I know it works. I'm a big believer in it, honestly. Like, it's so much easier when you want to sell something and you believe in it. Yeah. So that's how we that's all about it.
What do you think the main reason is for podcasting being so popular, do you think?
I think it's also a bit of a hype now, like everybody's like, Diary of a CEO, which is great, the guy is doing amazing. Like, I just seen the other day, the stuff probably you seen I shared on LinkedIn, about him, the progress he had over the years. And I'm like, this is impressive.
Yeah.
Well done to you, because most people see just the peak of the results, but there's so much work going on there. So that's one thing. Definitely, it's a bit of a hype now. But also people start realizing that they bring results. Like they see how beneficial it is for brands these days to develop a community. Because communities, it's becoming more and more important. And I think the more people realize, the more this will turn into something that every probably single business like that's serious about keeping in touch with their clients or potential clients will do.
Quick question, with your studio, do you have more businesses that come to your studio, or is it more like simply, like freelancers that just, not freelancers, solo
agencies also?
Yeah.
So we aim it for businesses, and I'm not hypocrite, I'm, very straight to it. Businesses have a budget for marketing, and because it's quite a bit of work behind the scenes. From obviously we've got to pay rent, we've got our equipment which we need to invest and reinvest to keep up to speed, with the demand. So it's mainly businesses, because also like in a way it's slightly easier working with businesses. I'm not gonna lie, they have usually a process. Most of the cases they have a marketing team. We know what they want to deliver, and we deliver on what they want. So, but it doesn't stop us, from working with individuals or entrepreneurs that are just like solopreneurs and all that. But so far, it's been mainly businesses.
And where do you see podcasting going in the next 5 years? Do you think grow? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it still grow, because it is like, look, Jersey, for example. If we talk in Jersey, there is so much more potential. How many podcasts do we know from Jersey? Are there more than 10, 15? Probably no. So you see, like on an island of like 110,000, I don't even know what's the latest, 10, 15 podcasts. We could do with more. Yeah. So I think it will grow, and especially in Jersey, I think with the studio we are in the right place for the time when it will be more popular, because more people, as I said before, they'll realize that this actually works. Yeah. It works in terms of like exactly the content multiplier. That's how we like to call it. You do 1 hour and then you get all these assets. Instead of like, well, we're just gonna get this video production that they will film 3 shorts and we are sorted for I don't know how many months. Probably not, you're not. You got to keep going, with that message. And when I say, volume, because it sounds like all I care about is about volume, I'm going back to that disclaimer, it all depends how interesting your message is. Because we'll help with everything, when it comes to pristine, clear shots, behind the scenes, photos, everything you want from the technical part. But you've got to make sure that you deliver something meaningful to your audience. Yeah. It comes from there. Yeah.
And how do you see AI and new tech impacting podcasting? Are you excited, worried about it, or?
I'm actually very excited about AI, and especially in the relationship with podcast. Okay, on one hand, for me as a podcast producer, let's say, it will help, speeding up my workflow. But on the other hand, for businesses, I think this is a crucial step where people will almost go the opposite way. So you'll have all this tech on this side, but communities on this side. So potential customers, your audience will gather around communities, and I think podcast is one of the best way to kind of like grow your community or keep in touch with your community. Yeah. And look, even inviting, like think about it, like inviting your clients to almost like deliver a testimonial without being a testimonial, if this makes sense. So you just talk like how, let's say I was helping you with this, and we're just like, well, let's talk about the journey. And it's just like, how was it? In 1 hour, imagine that how much content you get. How was it from the beginning to the end? And along the way, like, what would you recommend to someone in your shoes and all that? So it's giving value as well along the way. So I think this is very powerful.
And moving on to advice for others. Any advice for someone wanting to start a podcast, whether that's in Jersey or somewhere else?
I've got one actually, which, people make fun of me when I say it. You know what Nike says? Just do it. Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, it's the fear of being in front of the camera. I get it. But I think, like Gary Vee said, you got a lot of these people, they're not going to cry at your funeral, so don't worry about it. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's making that start. And look, I appreciate what you've done, and we talked about it just before starting. This was meant to be in a different room. You could have said, well, we're just going to wait for the perfect room to do it. Yeah. You started recording on your phones. Amazing, man. You still get the message. You don't need to get like crazy like I do. I mean, it's just a situation that I'm almost like I was saying, on this hamster wheel where people demand it, so I get to kind of like keep up the expectations. But it's all about the message. So if you can deliver a good message, don't worry about, because there are so many people say, oh, I'm going to wait for the perfect camera to come, and for this perfect light that is going to make me look, I don't know how. You're going to invest in time, and I'm 100% sure if this podcast is going to do well in a few years' time, you'll probably have your own studio, or you'll invest and you don't know what cameras. Yeah. Because if that's going to be the right time. Now, focus on the message. Yeah. So that's what someone that wants to start a podcast can do. Focus on the message. If you talk about stuff that if people have different opinions, well, it's your life. You know how you lived it. Job done. Yeah.
Okay. And what is one thing you wish you knew before starting your podcast, whether that's your podcast or your studio? What's one thing?
I think especially with the studio, and it's also it's an interesting one. This is a good question, but I think going back to something that literally we're waiting just here to get in, talking about have more failures in your life almost. Okay. So I think that it doesn't sound like a positive note, but it can lead very well to a positive outcome, because you're not going to learn too much from successes, but you're definitely going to learn from failures. And when you do it earlier in your life, when you're in your 20s, obviously don't do something stupid that you get arrested, because that'll be a next level of like failing. But if you, let's say, instead of working for like a well-established company, go work in a startup. Instead of like starting something like, I don't know, nothing wrong, being an accountant. My wife is an accountant, but starting almost like the safe way. Try a few things before you fall into place, because I think that will give you so much experience, and that's the time when the right time to fail. Mm-hmm. And in a way, that's what you do right now. Yeah. You're trying a few things, whether you've got your stable job, but around it there might be a lot of failures, but that's fine. You don't have kids that are crying. You're probably losing, let's say, 300 quid on a course or something else. Yeah. It's absolutely fine. Yeah. Okay.
And what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs in Jersey who want to launch something, not just a podcast? So it could be a podcast, passion project, even making content as well. Yeah. What advice?
I mean, as I said, my entrepreneurship life, my life as an entrepreneur is not being since forever. So I don't know if I'm in the right place to give advice full stop, but the way I see it, it's believe in what you sell. If, let's say, it's a business, if you believe in what you sell and the offer that you've got. And I had my times where, honestly, like I was doing videos because that's how I started, and I had businesses I work with, and I fully said it, I don't really believe in what this project is, but if you want it delivered, and I'll do it, In the end, it pays the bills, but I was very straightforward. And it kind of, deep inside, it didn't really sit well with me. But now with podcasts, because I know they work, and I know it's a great medium of, communicating with your audience as a business, I feel so almost like free to talk about all sorts and present it in a way that works, because I know it works. So I think, believing that deep into your soul that what you're doing and what your mission is, it helps someone, then you're winning already.
And then, so the last bit, so we've got Slido questions, and these are questions from viewers. Okay. So the first question, is podcasting worth pursuing as a business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hope that, people understood that what I talked so far, it was literally that. Yeah. That's absolutely the case. If you are a smaller business, don't even think about investing too much. Don't do it with me. I'm not here to promote specifically Jersey Podcast. I'm here to talk about the podcast. Yeah. So don't do it with me. come to me when you are ready, when you are further in the journey, or when you can afford it. Because let's be honest, it's a price, and it costs editing time and everything else, that with the strategy and all that. So start it with your phone. Easy. Start it with your phone. Prove it to yourself that it works, because you're gonna see if it works or if it doesn't. Or it doesn't, and you will be quite bad at the beginning. If you're not comfortable in front of the camera, it'll put you way out of your comfort zone. But I think that, especially for me, like selfishly, going back to why I started the podcast. Selfishly, I wanted to get better at English, because English being my second language, but also listening, because along the way I found out that listening is more powerful than talking, and I'm not saying I'm good at talking, I just talk. It doesn't mean that I'm good at talking. So I thought, selfishly, it will help me in these areas. And see if they resonate with this, helping them build their confidence and everything else, because I think it will. If you do, I don't know how many episodes, and you post them, especially if you do video, because with audio, it's hiding you a bit, it's a safe, and that can be the way to start. Do it audio to begin with, get comfortable, and move on to video.
Because I remember when I did my first podcast episode, and it was the introduction to the podcast. It's in that room, and it took me 2 hours to do a 7-minute video, because I kept on, if someone walked past, that's how restart.
And now look, there are people in here. Who cares?
Exactly.
I mean, they don't care about us. We don't care about them. Probably look at us like, oh, look at these weirdos, recording themselves on Saturday morning. But that's fine. It's you got to live with that. And it's funny, because I think you build a thick skin the more you do it. Because, like, for example, I'm coming from cooking. Everybody's got an opinion. It's like football, oh, you should add this, you should add that. I'm like, I don't care. You can add if you want. You can remove if you want. It's all about how I feel. If you don't like it, move on. So people take it just a bit too serious with Johnny 102, from YouTube that you never met. Like, you're not relevant. Like, you're not going to change my life. I've got other people in my life that are important, that I care about their opinion. I don't care about everyone else's.
And then last question, if you could start your entrepreneurial journey all over again, is there anything you would do different?
It's a good question. Yeah, it would be, going back to failures, but also I think it's not that I'm happy, because that means I will be complacent, but everything that I've done so far got me in the position that I am, and it's probably not the, you always have like higher ambitions, but it still got me in a position, that I can take it from here in the direction I want. So to make it more clear is no, because, you learn along the way, what you've done wrong, what you've done good, but I don't think there is much I would change, and I don't think I would necessarily take a different path, because even if, let's say, sometimes I was in the wrong place, knowing that you are in the wrong place, it gave me the strength to move on to the next step. Right. So I think all this, going back to failures and micro failures, because everything else that comes along the way, knowing what you like and what you don't like along the way, I think that's very powerful, and that's how you kind of build up yourself. And if you're in a place, there might be people that are in a place where they wanted to change something along the way. Can you change it? You can't change it. So what's the point thinking about it? So I'm also a big believer of like, let's focus on the things that I can change, that I have power over, and changing something that was in the past is not under my control.
And that's all my questions for you. But I want to say thank you for coming on. Just to have a guest that's in the podcasting world as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to get you on my show. As I said, we'll do it. We'll definitely do it, because I like what you do, and it's great. Like, look, going back to relationships you form through podcast. I'm sure from now on we'll keep on connecting and meeting at events and chatting, and how is your life, how is mine, and do stuff together. Amazing.
Well, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much.